Welcome to the course Dopamine Detox, optimizing your productivity and your digital life. Now, to understand what a dopamine detox is, we need to separate the two words dopamine and detox and define them separately, first of all. Now, dopamine is a brain chemical that gives your body the feelings of obtaining a reward or feeling pleasure. And this is often done whenever you do a certain activity that promotes that. For instance, if you consume something that's particularly tasty, like your favorite food, then you get a feeling of reward and you get a feeling of pleasure after eating that food. Detox is defined as ridding your body of toxic substances, but it can also be used as an umbrella term for activities that don't involve physical consumption. Hence, dopamine detox can be ultimately defined as an abstinence from the activities that have the potential to become addictions. This is particularly prevalent in today's society, where the modern addictions of today are different to what they were around 20 years ago. And this includes social media addictions, eating plenty of junk food, and binging on TV shows. All of those which many people see as a hindrance to their own personal development and growth. And this is where the dopamine detox comes in handy, where we seek to control those urges and focus on the things that we truly want to focus on and that matters to us. So hence the problem with these modern addictions are that they take us away from achieving what we really want to achieve. This could include building a great body, starting a business, or fostering healthy relationships with your family and friends. And it may be the case that your own excessive consumption of social media usage has led to a decline in your own productivity, and that's something you want to change, as there is a strong correlation between these bad habits and the way you perform on the tasks that you need to work on. And it happened to me also, where my own social media usage hampered my own productivity, and it didn't allow me to fulfill my own potential on producing as much work as I could. Move away from these modern addictions and distractions. The goal of this course is to mitigate your usage of social media and eliminating these bad habits, such as junk food and binging on TV shows, or playing excessive amount of video games in your life. And however, there's a way where you can maximize your own digital life and your productivity, and there's a method to how you could do that. And in this course, I will teach you the strategies that I've implemented to be more productive and doing newer activities that have had a much more positive impact on my life as well. The technology that we use, the TV that we watch, and the video games that we play, they're all garnered by the concept of attention control. Now, in particular, attention control is something that's been reinforced by the big tech companies of today, including Google, Microsoft, Sony, and even the social media platform like Instagram and TikTok, and many others. These companies employ highly qualified and highly talented people to ensure that you, the consumer, will have your attention consumed by what they're offering in terms of the content on their video game consoles or social media platforms. They're designed to ensure that they are able to hold your attention to their applications for as long as possible. And now this is a problem, because this brings us to the idea that we are almost addicted, or so at least some of us are addicted to our smartphones constantly. Every time we have free time, we decide to squander it on watching TikTok reels and browsing Instagram mindlessly without any meaningful intention. And so that is a problem that people have to contend with in today's society. A prominent example is that these big tech companies research behavioral patterns in people and look at the psychology of attention to bring as many eyeballs to their applications and screens as possible. An important observation that was made by Cal Newport, the author of Digital Minimalism, was that there are only two contributing factors to why people have the tendency to be addicted to their smartphones and social media platforms, and that is One, people want social approval. There's a drive for social approval. And two, they they always get intermittent positive reinforcement from the social media apps, which only reinforces tendency to keep coming back to the applications on a constant and consistent basis. For instance, the like button on your Instagram, Twitter feed, and TikTok feed, they're designed to give you a dopamine hit. That the fact that someone might be liking your post or that you're liking someone else's post is that you have that positive feeling that you are being noticed, or that you are almost seen as quote unquote relevant in the social space by clicking that like button. And the question that you might be having is, why am I telling you this in the first place? This is important contextual information, because having this information gives you a reason to pursue the dopamine detox. That you might be consumed by all of these technologies, which are essentially the modern addictions of today, and you want to make a change, you want to do something about it. Given what I've told you now, an exercise for this lecture will be to take out a pen and a paper, write down your own personal routine, what your current routine is like. Because what we want to do is we want to identify the focal points, the main time slots where you have a tendency to binge on social media and use it for long periods of time, more than you would be willing to. By identifying these patterns, we are able to have a more introspective outlook on our own usage of social media, because during those specific times, that's when we can target them and make a change towards using them less and less. So spend 2 to 3 minutes asking yourself the following questions. Am I really enjoying the time that I spend on social media or playing video games or watching TV? Do I feel in the moment is the real question. There may be times where you might feel like you're having fun, but there are some times you're just using social media, mindless scrolling, as a way to cope with your boredom, for instance. And ask yourself, which are the key times that I'm consistently binging on social media or video games or TV. Now, I'll give you an example of this. So consider a typical 9 to 5 worker. He might come home at around 6 p.m. He'll have his dinner, but then he might proceed to spend around 2 to 3 hours on social media. And then afterwards, he might regret it and be like, well, in that 2 to 3 hours, I could have been going to the gym. I could have been going out with my friends, but instead I chose to stay at home and on social media. So that 6 p.m. to around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. is the time frame where he knows that he spends most of his time on social media. And reaffirm why you want to make a lifestyle change. Why do you want to do a dopamine detox? Having this question in mind is what will give you more motivation to carry on with it and making a change to your life. The next phase in your dopamine detox is the decluttering phase. Now, declutter in this context refers to the idea of optimizing the notifications on your social medias and on your phone in a way where you won't be distracted by the notifications that you see on your phone, and having the urge to go on social media during the times where you should be productive. Now, you should start off with the following question, which is, does this add any value to my life? And relate this to the way you use Instagram, the way you use Twitter, and all of your other social medias. For Instagram, what worked for me was going through my following list and unfollowing the accounts that I could do away with, and the accounts of people that I didn't know very well. I decided to unfollow those accounts, and that has allowed me to use Instagram more efficiently in a way where I can interact with my friends and family, and without going through the mindless scrolling that I did previously before, when I was following plenty of accounts, because the more accounts that I followed, the more that I would be prone to mindless scrolling between study sessions and work sessions. And this goes for the other mainstream social media platforms like TikTok and Twitter. And besides those social media accounts, you should focus on optimizing your notifications on your phone as well. So Doing this will require going through the settings on your phone for specific messaging apps that you use, including just the regular messages app, or if you use WhatsApp, optimize your notifications in a way where, let's say you're working at your desk and you have your phone on your desk, optimize them in a way where if you get a notification, it won't show the content, but it will say WhatsApp and then one new message. For instance, if it said who the message was from, then I would get distracted and start thinking about that, and it would take attention away from the work that I would be doing. By this way, this allowed me to stay productive for far longer rather than just shifting my whole attention over. The next phase in your dopamine detox journey is the managing phase. Now, in this lecture, we'll talk about some of the strategies that you can employ to complement your decluttering of your phone and the mindset that we should have going forward. Now, there's an important passage that Cal Newport wrote in his book Digital Minimalism, and that was that all you needed to get caught up with social media and the news within a single week was just 45 minutes. Now, that's an important thing to note because today we are so prone to mindless scrolling and trying to stay on top of the news and what's going on around us, including in our social circle. But all we need is 45 minutes to get caught up with everything. And it's important to note that this strategy alludes to the Pareto's principle, which is the 80-20 rule, which states that 80% of the work that you do can be done within 20% of time, which basically translates to being more efficient overall. A strategy that I've personally employed is using YouTube in the evenings rather than throughout the day, because the day is where I'm personally more productive. And I set a specific time frame around 30 minutes or so. I might that down more, where I use YouTube and I can get caught up with the videos that I want to watch, and even go on social media to message my friends and family, and it gives me more time there if I have a time frame while staying productive and on top of my other tasks throughout the day. So that I highly recommend tracking and monitoring your time that you spend on applications on your device. This really gives you a more factual representation of how you use your devices and the certain applications that you use on your phone or your computer, and it really helps you nail down some of the areas where you can improve and some of the specific times where you may be prone to using a certain application for a long period of time. Now, the power of routine is very powerful because not only does it give you a consistent basis to live by, but it allows you to stay in the present moment, which is ever so important in today's society where our mind is wandering all over the place due to social media and the distractions on of the internet. More specifically, the routines that you can employ are in the morning and the night. Now, the morning is when you wake up, obviously, and let's say you're going to work, but the routine that you have before work can ultimately set up your day as a whole and ensure that you are productive as possible in that day. Now, some of the things that I've done in the morning was I typically meditate. I sometimes go for a run, and doing either of those things really grounds me and puts my mind at ease and ensures that I'm productive for the rest of the day. And having a morning routine is what, I'll repeat it again, it what sets up your day. Now, having a nightly routine is equally as important because it's kind of what you could call a shutdown ritual where you're telling your mind that in a while you're going to go to bed. Now, a nightly routine that I've typically held is that I usually work out and then I shower and then I eat, and then I do some journaling and then I do some reading right before I go to bed. And that really allows my mind to settle down after a long, hard day at work, and it puts my mind at ease. So having those two routines can really set up a very successful day in terms of your productivity. Your exercise for this lecture will be taking a pen and a paper and writing down activities that involve minimal technology and incorporating them into your routine. I would strongly recommend meditating first thing in the morning. It really, personally for me, it puts my mind at ease. It puts me into the present moment, and it just calms me down first thing in the morning. Um, Running is something that I highly encourage as well. Running really gives me a burst of energy in the morning, gives me that feel good energy. It could work for you as well. If you're not willing to run, you can walk as well. A morning walk is really good because it involves you stepping outside first thing in the morning, which is really good for you. Getting that some of that sunlight first thing in the morning. There's working out, so you can journal. There's a lot of things that you can incorporate into your morning routine. Now the goal here is to involve things that don't involve much technology. If we're trying to move away from that. So I would recommend not using social media first thing in the morning. There's no need usually anyways. Moving away from that and incorporating some of these more valuable activities into your routine. These are what's really help you calm down after a long day at work, for instance, in terms of your nightly routine. And in terms of your morning routine, these activities are what can really give you a boost of energy and ensure a more productive day ahead of you. We have come to the final stage of our dopamine detox, which is the conforming stage. This stage refers to the idea that we're conforming to this new reality where we can pursue our dopamine detox on a long-term level. Keep an open mind to these ideas and you keep trying, then there's no reason why the dopamine detox won't benefit your life in any capacity. To effectively produce a lifestyle change in terms of your dopamine detox, we need to add in more leisurely activities that are productive in some capacity. Now, for instance, something that you could employ to your everyday routine, as we discussed in the previous lecture, would be to meditate. If we add that activity, then we may be able to cancel out something else which isn't productive at all, which could be mindless scrolling on social media. So the more leisurely activities that we add in that are productive, that's the key word here, then we'll be able to eliminate some of these bad habits that keep holding us back. So you need to find high quality activities that you can fit into your life. For instance, it could be as simple as speaking to your family without having any technology. And taking little steps like that is what benefits us in the long run with our dopamine detox. Personally, I would recommend many of the self-improvement habits. Some of the things that I've been doing to minimize my technology usage is to read a lot more. Reading really gives me a different perspective on different topics, and it's a very relaxing activity for me personally. Working out helps me maximize my physical health, and taking walks, going for runs, and in particular meditating in the mornings and journaling before I go to bed is something that has really benefited me and has given me a more introspective perspective about myself and helped me learn more about myself. And those are some of the activities that everybody watching this should try out, at least, because in the long run these activities can have a really great impact on your future self. And another thing that you can employ is something called a habit tracker to keep you accountable for the actions that you are taking every single day, something that helps you in your goals going forward. Now, the habit tracker is something that I've borrowed from the YouTuber Hamza. Now, I found this very valuable with the habit tracker at first for me when I was starting my dopamine detox journey, and I think it's an essential part of everybody's dopamine detox journey going forward. Now, the habit tracker is essentially writing down every single activity that you want to do throughout the day like leisurely activities, and ensuring that when you've done that activity, you tick off the box. You tick off the box every time you've completed that task. And when you draw this out and you post it on your wall, then it'll keep you accountable, because every time you look at your wall, then you know that you haven't worked out today. And once you've worked out, you can just tick off the box on that piece of paper on your wall, and that really helps you going forward, because it keeps you accountable, keeps you grounded. And those are some of the techniques that you can do going forward. So your exercise for this lecture is to create a habit tracker that's where you write down the high quality leisure activities that you want to pursue, and activities that you can pursue from today. A dopamine detox works because we're recalibrating our brains to focus on activities that require minimal technology or no technology usage at all. And these are the activities that allow us to grow the most, to make positive changes in our life. And these are the activities that give us the best ROI, which is the return on investment from doing these activities. Activities such as eating an excessive amount of junk food, binging on TV shows, and playing an excessive amount of video games is what gives us instant gratification. But we want to work on delaying gratification. That is, we work now and we reap the benefits later on. And that is particularly true with activities that don't require much technology usage at all. And these are activities such as working out. If you work out now, then that will allow you to become more muscular or become more stronger, whatever your goal is, become more fit. And that goes for meditation as well. If you practice meditation, then you'll become more mindful in the long term, while you may have some short-term benefits. We essentially want our brains to overcome the overstimulation that we're providing ourselves through all of these bad habits. And by installing new habits into our routine, we're able to make constructive progress towards our goals and the things that we truly desire. A final tip that I would highly encourage everybody to do is to practice meditation. Meditation surrounds the concept of mindfulness, which is staying in the present moment and doing whatever you need to do in the present moment, being aware of every single action that you take. Now, this is very beneficial for your dopamine detox journey, because there are going to be times where you might want to revert to your old habits, which is falling into that state of eating junk food, playing an excessive amount of video games, binging on TV shows when you've got a deadline for work, for an assignment, whatever it is. And being mindful of that is what really benefits you in the long run. Now, I'll go back to the example with the 9-to-5 worker. He comes home from work, he eats his dinner. Instead of going on his phone and opening social media, he knows that he's made an obligation to go to the gym, and he is well aware of that. So he puts his phone away for now, and he puts on his gym clothes and he goes off to the gym, compared to what he did before, when he would go on social media and be on there for 2 to 3 hours, while he could have gone to the gym and done something more productive. To master any skill that we want to learn, it requires hard work, dedication, and consistency. And the same goes for our dopamine detox journey, where the more we're consistent with the principles that we've gone over in this course, the more we're able to make a positive change to our life by going on that long-term dopamine detox. And by doing this, we're able to foster positive changes in our lifestyle. For me personally, I've been on this journey for about a year, and I started off by removing the social medias off of my phone and using them very occasionally, not as often as I would before that. And that really allowed me to free my mind more and concentrate on the things that really did matter to me, such as my fitness goals and my goals with creating courses and helping out people through this medium. And there are times where I fall into that mindless scrolling, and it can really happen to the best of us. But the fact of the matter is, we need to strive to be more consistent and using our failures in order to make us better people in the future. In this dopamine detox journey, you should keep persevering because the dopamine detox that you'll do is what has the best ROI, and really makes a big difference when you compare the person that you are in, let's say a year compared to what you are now. Your future self will thank yourself for what you've done now.